Hey guys, what's up? So I'm just gonna put it out there. I have my headphones attached to this today because I'm using my selfie stick, as you can see, and I want you to be able to hear me. So, I'm sorry if it sounds all like whisper, like ASMR. I'm very sorry. Try not to do that. But, so I'm gonna be doing a tank clean out video. Last time I did these 2 tanks of water change. If you haven't seen that, you should totally go check it out. And this time, I'm going to be doing one of my 25-gallon guppy tanks. I'm just going to be doing a basic water change and kind of show you how that's done. And I have sand in there right now, so I'm going to be also showing you how to clean the substrate while it's in the tank. So I really hope you like this video, and I really hope you watch it. And yeah, so if you hear any background noise, once again, very sorry. And if there's a lot of movement like this, very, very sorry. I am still getting the hang of this selfie stick thing, so. I want to also show a slight new development in one of my tanks. So, my Shabunkin tank, I had to make this divider out of a light diffuser because this is one of my female Shabunkins, and they were just picking on her so much trying to spawn with her, and she's already had 2 very large spawn of eggs, so she just was kind of not into it afterwards, and I just felt so bad for her, so I gave her her own little side for a few days. They both have a filtration system on each side, but these have huge holes, so yeah, she's in there. I got this big piece of light diffuser from Home Depot, and it was about $17, and it's fish safe, so if you have large fish that can't fit through these and you need a divider, this is super good to use. I just cut it with some pliers and made it fit, and then put little sucky cups. I don't know if you can see it, they're up there, there we go, little sucky cups to keep it on. This is the tank that I'm going to be cleaning out today. It's a 25-gallon tank. I have a piece of wood in there, a bunch of rocks, some plants, and I use sand for the substrate. For fish, I have show guppies, a betta fish, and a pleco, and as you can see, my pleco really likes to leave his mark. Just like all my other tanks, I aim to clean this one out every 4 to 7 days, really depending on if I accidentally overfeed or depending on how many fish I have in there at the time, because I have another tank of guppies and I'm always just switching them back and forth depending on who's having babies and all that fun stuff. So yeah, the filter that I use for this tank is a Tetra 10, and I really like these filters for smaller tanks. They're really powerful and they're very, very quiet, surprisingly. So this is what I'm going to be using to clean out my 25-gallon tank today, and I'm not going to be using my big Python tube. I feel like it's way too powerful for such a little tank, and it'll end up sucking up all my fish into the drain. So I use this little handheld one with this little attachment, and I'm going to be using a bucket with an obvious towel, probably way more towels, a scraper, a sponge, a thermometer, water clear, because I have sand in that tank, so usually it all gets all kind of sandy. And the most important part, prime. Now I really want to talk about this stuff. In all your tank changing situations, you're going to want to use this. You're going to want to use any water conditioner, but this is my favorite kind. A lot of people, I feel, recommend this kind, and yeah, it's just very, very important. And checking your temperature. So do you like my new mat? It's waterproof, and it's actually a kitty litter mat, but they like to splash around a whole lot. So I got this, and I thought it was super, super cute because it has little fish on it. So yeah, I wanted to show you that. Every other time that I do a water change, I like to take all the stuff out of the tank so I can clean the substrate under everything, because it gets pretty poopy. So instead of using the Python tube that I normally use, I use this for the smaller tank because I feel like the Python tube might suck up all my fish. So I use this one, but I don't feel like these parts are very effective if you're doing a smaller tank, especially with sand, because it'll just suck up all your sand. This will for sure suck up all your sand, but this doesn't have that much suction, and when it does, it just all floods up in like kind of a cloud, I feel, for the smaller tanks. And I got this one at Walmart. It also has a tube. And I got this one at PetSmart with this one. And I actually used to use this set a lot on my bigger tank before I got the Python tube. And it worked very, very well for the bigger tank. It's just, I feel like for my smaller tank, if I want to use this part, I'm just going to need a bit smaller of this part because it has like no suction. So, but they still work very, very well. And yeah, so I just prefer to use this little end to be careful not to suck up any sand. So when I say they're a bit too big for this tank, this is what I mean. When you're using this part and you have to put it in and suck it up, this has to be fully submerged, and once you bring it back up, because it's like the height of it, it just loses suction. Well, for me at least it does. I don't know. And even this one, it eventually just loses suction and I can't get like anything to come out. So yeah, I just prefer to use that little end for my really small tanks. And I recommend just getting a smaller part of this tube if you got a really small tank. It'll just make everything a lot easier. These two are the medium sizes. Before I add the fresh tap water, I'm going to take some of it in a bowl and I'm going to add the water clear. And then I'm going to add the prime, and on the back of each one is going to say how much of it to add depending on the size of your tank. Prime is my favorite water conditioner. It's a concentrated water conditioner and it removes chlorine and detoxifies ammonia, nitrate, and nitrite. So it makes the fresh water going into your tank not toxic or anything for your fish, and it won't shock them. You just got to make sure that it's the right temperature that it was when you took the water out, putting it back in, because that can shock your fish, a big temperature change. So I just kind of mix it around, and I'm not going to add it all at once. I'm going to kind of add it in parts of me adding the new water. So I'll add some now, then I'll add some new water, and then add a little bit more. Okay, so I wanted to just say a few ways that can keep your tank cleaner longer, but you still should do frequent water changes at least once a week. I do mine every 4 to 7 days depending on how much I feed and how many are in the tank, but all my tanks have a schedule, but I always end up doing them a little bit more than my schedule. A good way is keeping it out of direct sunlight because the sun will make algae grow. Another way is overfeeding. Don't overfeed. And another way is overcrowding. If you have too many fish or too big a fish in the tank you have to either keep up water changes very, very regularly or get them a bigger tank, because that's just going to raise what's called the ammonia level, and that's when fish secrete any waste or any food is left, that'll make ammonia in the tank, and then the ammonia is made into nitrite. Then that nitrite is made into nitrate. And then it's kind of your job to remove that nitrate from the tank, because that can really harm your fish. And something to test for the levels of these things in your tank, also the pH and high range pH, is this. And you can get it from pretty much any pet store. I got mine from PetSmart. It's $40 to $50, and you can also get a saltwater one, but it comes with all these and this little card, and you test for all these things on the back, and it shows you how and stuff. And yeah, so you'll test the levels of that. I like to do each one of my tanks once a week, but if you don't have this, you should still at least try to do water changes once a week. It doesn't have to be like a huge clean out, but if you can at least manage, like I said, once a week, a good big water change, that's really good place to start. A lot of pet stores, I'm not going to name any specific, but a lot of people at pet stores will say a lot of false stuff, especially for fish. And I can give an example for that. Someone told my mom at my local pet store that she only needed to top up the water in her tank when it got low, and that is like completely wrong. You're not eliminating any of that waste or any of those chemicals that need to be eliminated, and you're not adding really any fresh water. You're just kind of topping any evaporation that was there off. And also people will say, well, what if I do a big water change and it shocks my fish? It's not going to shock your fish really, unless they have for a long period of time been at very bad water quality. They almost get used to it, and then when you do a massive big water change, there is the potential for it to shock them if it's a different temperature, or if those nitrates and pH and ammonia just all of a sudden change. That could, but if you keep it up regularly, that shouldn't happen. And if you, let's say, are starting water changes that you haven't before, and you are scared it's going to shock your fish, just kind of start off slow, and every day or every other day, just do a bit more of a water change. Like every day, do like a 10% water change just to start it, and then get kind of in a routine with it. Something else too is cleaning out the filter. People think you always have to clean out the filter, which kind of is true, but it's not. The filter holds a lot of beneficial bacteria. I've said it in one of my previous videos. If you haven't seen that, you should check it out, but I'm going to say it again. It has a lot of beneficial bacteria, and this beneficial bacteria doesn't live in the water. A lot of people think it does. It doesn't. This beneficial bacteria lives in your tank, in the biomedia that's in the back of your tank. So if you're always scrubbing it really hard and killing all that bacteria or completely removing it, that bacteria has nothing to grow on. And what that beneficial bacteria is there for is helping to eat all the bad stuff pretty much that's in your tank and helping clean your water. So you really want that beneficial bacteria. If you have to clean out your filter or biomedia in your filter, you should just kind of scrub it out and rinse it out in some tank water, and then put it right back. You don't want to just be changing it and everything. And if you have to do a 100% water change for some reason, that's okay, because you're still going to have all that beneficial bacteria in that biomedia. You just have to keep it alive. So just keep it in a bucket of tank water, and remember that it's not going to live forever. So you got to pretty much treat it like a fish. It's alive. All that stuff is alive, and that's what keeps your fish alive and fish healthy. And also using prime. That is very, very, very important. That's what I use all the time. And yeah, you can get that pretty much anywhere. I got mine off of Amazon, but you can get it at Big Al's and PetSmart, and you can get pretty much any water conditioner, but my favorite is the Prime. But yeah, those are two things that I really, really recommend. And if you notice my all done tank little clip there is a little bit cloudy, that's because I have sand. So right when I'm done cleaning it, I always have to wait for the sand to settle, but I was like, I want to show them right now. So yeah, so that's that whole situation, but that's why I put the water clear in. And yeah, I hope you really, really like this video. My next one's going to be the one I said was next in my previous video, which is feeding all my animals the gel food, but I'm actually going to do that one after this one. So yeah, I hope you really liked it, and I hope you have a good day or night, whatever it is. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in my comments. And yes, thank you very, very much for watching this video, and I will see you with my next video very, very soon.